Hi, I'm Paramdeep Singh, CEO of Field Assist, and I'm joined here today with Aditya Bagri, Director at Bagri Foods. Bagri has redefined our breakfast habits with its pioneering products like granola, muesli, and oats. Thank you, Aditya, for being with us today.
Param, thank you so much for having me on your talk.
Thank you. Okay, let me start with this. Indians are foodies. Usually, 90% of Indians would not have heard of muesli. How did you manage Indians to change their habit and choose muesli like products over traditional, hot food items like parantha, idli, and poha?
So that's a very fascinating question, Param. And I would not say 99% of Indians when we started out hadn't heard of muesli because it was a Western concept. And to answer your question, it took a lot of patience. It's not a category that gets developed overnight. It took effort in terms of trial generation, lots of sampling. And the other part which helped us was that the category that we also started of oats was a hot porridge, and Indians were far more attuned to hot cereals than they were to cold breakfast options.
Okay. And I've heard, you have Bagris has got a huge fan following. I want to listen to the story. How did you reach at the breakfast level of Bill Clinton?
When Mr. Clinton came to India as president, he has a habit of having muesli every day in the morning.
Okay.
And since we were the leading muesli brand in India, one of our distributors got a request that they need muesli for the president, and it was ordered in and for his hotel, and it came in the paper the next day that he had our muesli.
Okay.
So, which was fantastic, but it's nothing that we did to approach Mr. Clinton. It was the other way around. The gamut of Bagri's consumers has been, touch wood, quite wide.
There have been umpteen number of products from the brands like Dr. Oetker, YTC, or Marico. Okay, and this space is heating up like anything. So, what are your challenges to keep this sustained year-on-year growth at Bagri's?
The breakfast category itself is at a very early stage. While it's growing, it's also a category that has its own challenges. It's very underpenetrated yet. It is still low in terms of consumption per capita looking at our diaspora. So to give an example, the UK consumes about 17 kgs of cereal per person per annum, which is a lot of cereals. So in comparison, we are still far behind. So there's a huge growth opportunity sitting for us. The other part is that we have to keep on reinventing ourselves. So I would honestly say that more than external competition, there's a lot of work and a lot of scope for us to get our brands to reach its true potential.
Okay, and that's really fantastic. Focusing on yourself to become a better version. Taking on to that answer of yours about the innovation. So you have been introducing a lot of products, but when we innovate, generally we have a risk also. So we'd love to know that what has not gone right.
So, as a brand, we've always attempted to be a disruptor. And many things that we attempted were actually way before time. So, for example, we were the first brand to launch granola bars in India.
Yes.
We launched it in the early 90s, which was way before time. And the category was also not ready. We've just re-entered the category with another innovation. We've called it the Mighty Muesli Bars. But the nutrition bar market was, first attempted by us. And after 2 failures, in the third attempt, we launched Bagri's Cornflakes Plus, which was extremely well accepted in the market and is actually disrupting the cornflake space. I would say sometimes what we realize is that it's a game of patience and timing. With every category, you have to be very patient and wait for it to reach that inflection point where it would start taking off in terms of consumption.
Okay, that's quite exhaustive of you doing a lot of innovation and experimentation. And how do you catch the pulse of your consumers?
Now, in terms of innovation, we are actually looking forward. We're actually projecting 2-3 years from now what consumer demands would be, what the entire channel would look like, what are the trends in health and wellness. So it's a mixture of quick market research along with our ability to manufacture or source and innovate, and it all comes down to answering the one question: that does this enrich the life of my consumer both in terms of health, nutrition, taste and convenience? And if the answer is yes, then we end up going for it.
How have you aligned your people and the culture of Bagri's being built up to achieve your goals?
So a lot of the culture comes from legacy itself of having been around for such a long time, and I would say that it comes with some very core values. One of them is trust. The second culture is that of loyalty. So we've been fortunate to have people who've been in the group for 3 decades, 4 decades, even 5 decades, which is, massive when you talk about, long service out here. In terms of business values also, there's an internal culture of frugality. As an organization, we've always, bitten only as much as what we can chew. That discipline and frugality has also helped us, reinvest into the business and grow a business otherwise, which potentially has become very expensive in terms of, channel building or GTM building.
Of course. Yeah. Okay. And I see that, Bagri has a truly omni-channel strategy. So you are present in modern trade, you are present online, and you have been into a general trade. So what do you keep in mind in strategizing your GTM, plan?
Param, very pertinent question, I'd say. And we truly believe in being omni-channel. And I would say that the GTM strategy now is to have a very focused omni-channel approach where we're looking at each of these channels with, the full potential in their respective ways. So, for example, if I talk about GT, then, there's a focus on expanding the footprint wherever we can and also going deeper in terms of what we can achieve in each store with regards to health on that store's platform. And similarly, if I talk about organized retail, it has its own nuances, where we obviously need to work with a lot of data and on the point of sale, which is the moment of truth for us. So that's where we are getting a lot more evolved. Partners such as Field Assist are helping us track our on-shelf performance and so many other data metrics. And e-commerce has become a completely new gamut of opportunities by itself, where you can showcase a lot of products and get consumers to try new concepts, even before it hits, the offline shelf.
Okay, very interesting. So I think I'll touch upon now something which is very close to my heart: consumer goods, brands, and technology. So when did you realize that technology is something you want to take it up as a lethal weapon for automating your offline sales or automating your supply chain, digitizing it?
So Param, fortunately, we've had a very supportive, leadership, and my father, who has looked at the helm of affairs for so many years, has always been very pro adopting new technology. I think the intent going forward is to be right at the disruptive edge in terms of technology and going from an early adopter to a disruptor. And that's the journey in terms of what we want to do with tech. But we're still at a very early stage in terms of adoption, and we have a long way to go.
I'm very happy to hear that, Aditya, because today's times, a lot of CPG brands are becoming very, very data-driven. Yeah, and that's where the whole industry is leading to. And really interesting perspective, and I'm really excited and thrilled to hear this whole story of Bagri from your mouth. We're really a proud partner to great brands like Bagri. Thank you.